So we are going over art history. Let's get into it. We're doing Spain. So last time, the last stream we did like yesterday was we started a new chapter. We finished off the Mannerism with 1500 to 1600, and now we are going into Europe 1600 to 1700 and the Counter-Reformation, all that stuff. There's a lot of amazing architecture and sculpture that was going on in Italy with Bernini and St. Peter's at Vatican. Bernini is amazing. All of this stuff, yes, this undulating architecture is fantastic. And then we get into the painting. This amazing ceiling painting is pretty cool. And then we have Caravaggio, who he was the modern artist in the trad times. That the trad people really didn't like him because he was doing weird shit and didn't appreciate, the classics and the idealized versions. He was just going for the mundane. I mean, this is supposed to be Jesus right here. So they didn't like how kind of mundane he did it. And then we have Artemisia with the slaying of Holofernes. So yeah, woman power. This ceiling is amazing because it just looks like you're shooting up into the sky, into the heavens from inside the chapel. It's pretty dope. And yeah, we are finishing off in Spain here. Oh man, another ninjagini. Thank you so much, Prime Minister Andy. Damn, that's so kind of you. Damn, awesome. Ooh, we got a few. Wow. Okay, making me feel better. Thank you. Thank you for the ninjaginis. We are on D Live right now, but if you're watching this on YouTube, then that means it's a rerun, but you can still donate. You can still go to streamlabs.com. You can still do super chats. You can do all of that stuff. So, and I depend on it. I kind of wait around for it to come on YouTube, and then people see it on YouTube and go, oh, this isn't live, and they don't donate. But I'm depending on you guys and YouTube, really, to see my stuff and donate. So please go to streamlabs.com/Martina Markota TV. It really helps out a lot. And every once in a while, let me know in the chat that everything's looking good, because on my end, it's glitched. I can't see anything. It's looking like shit. So let me send out a quick tweet about what we're going to get into. Starting out talking about Spain. Let's do it. Let's get into Spain, shall we? Okay. All right. Cool. Told people that we're gonna get into Spain right now. Okay. Jay says it's still fine on his end, audio and all. All right. All right. Well, let's get into it then. So Spain, during the 16th century, let me see, you can see it. Yeah. Okay. During the 16th century, Spain had established itself. During the 16th century, Spain had established itself as an international power. The Habsburg kings had built a dynastic state that encompassed Portugal, part of Italy, and the Netherlands, and extensive areas of the New World. By the beginning of the 17th century, however, the Habsburg Empire was struggling, and although Spain mounted an aggressive effort during the 30 Years' War, by 1660, the imperial age of the Spanish Habsburgs was over. In part, the demise of the empire was due to economic woes. The military campaigns of Philip III, roughly 1598 to 1621, and his son Philip IV, roughly 1621 to 1665, the campaigns that they waged during the 30 Years' War were costly and led to higher taxes on Spanish subjects. This burden, in turn, indicted revolts and civil war in Catalonia and Portugal in the 1640s, further straining an already fragile economy. Thus, the dawn of the Baroque period in Spain found the country's leaders struggling to maintain control of their dwindling empire. But realizing the value of visual imagery in communicating to a wide audience, both Philip III and Philip IV continued to spend lavishly on art. Okay, you guys know what I'm going to say right now. I say it every single time. Every single stream, it always starts out with so-and-so emperor or pope or Roman Catholic Church or country or whatever sees the importance of visual imagery in communicating to a wide audience, and they spend money on art. That is something that we conservatives are always just ignoring, putting aside, and not putting any real value in, and then we complain about the left. And we complain about the left controlling culture. So, there you have it. Every single time. In a country passionately committed to Catholic orthodoxy, Spanish Baroque artists, love it, like their Italian contemporaries, sought ways to move viewers to encourage greater devotion and piety. Particularly appealing in this regard were scenes of death and martyrdom, which provided artists with opportunities both to depict extreme feelings and to instill those feelings in viewers. Spain prided itself in its saints, Saint Teresa of Avila, I think, and someone was making fun of how I say this, but I don't know, Ignatius Loyola, is that how you say it? Let me see. Ignatius. Pronunciation. PronounceNames.com. Ignatius. Okay, it's prettier. All right. Ignatius. So, and Saint Ignatius Loyola were both Spanish-born, and martyrdom scenes surfaced frequently in Spanish Baroque art. Love it. So that leads us into Francisco de Zurbarán. A leading 17th century Spanish painter was Francisco de Zurbarán, 1598 to 1664, whose primary patrons were rich monastic orders. Many of his paintings are quiet and contemplative, appropriate for prayer. Zurbarán painted Saint Serapion, 1014, as a devotional image for the funerary chapel of the Order of Mercy in Seville. Okay, let's look at this for you guys while I read about it. There we go. We got this guy. Okay, so we got Spanish Baroque. Cool. We got this little letter next to him. I guess not cool. He's hanging up like that. It's a few feet tall, nothing crazy. All right. Let's see what we got here. Okay, I mean, I'm going to continue. So, if you can hear me, we are looking at it's a painting by Francisco Zurbarán, and it's Saint Serapion, 1628, oil on canvas. It is 3 feet 11.5 inches by 3 feet 4 3/4 inches. It's at Wadsworth, Hartford. Where? Oh, okay. So the light shining on Serapion calls attention to his tragic death and increases the painting's dramatic impact. The monk's coarse features label him as common, evoking empathy from a wide audience. So this was a devotional image for the funerary chapel of the Order of Mercy in Seville. The saint who participated in the Third Crusade suffered martyrdom while preaching the gospel to Muslims. According to one account, the monk's captors tied him to a tree. They tortured, then decapitated him, which sounds like something Muslims would do. The Order of Mercy dedicated itself to self-sacrifice. The Serapion's membership in this order amplified the resonance of Zurbaran's painting. In Saint Serapion, the monk emerges from a dark background and fills the foreground. The bright light shining on him calls attention to the saint's tragic death and increases the dramatic impact of the image. In the background are 2 barely visible tree branches. A small note next to the saint identifies him. The coarse features of the Spanish monk label him as common, no doubt, evoking empathy from a wide audience. Oh, I see now that it's a tree. Yeah, okay. I can now see there's a tree trunk back there. Still has his head on, but poor guy. All right. Yeah, but people are saying that it's all of the DLive channels. If you could go and check the other DLive channels and let me know if it's just me or if it's everybody else as well, because I think I saw comments in the other ones that things were glitching and stuff. So let me know. I'll try to delete as much as I can right now on my screen. Let me see. Okay, I'm trying to delete things. I don't know how to do that cookie stuff. Sorry. But I don't have Adobe's on. None of that stuff. I don't know. Based Amy was buffering badly and gave up. I don't know. I might give up too. Let me know if it gets really bad or if you can still hear and see me. Every once in a while, just give me a little nod, a little comment, and let me know that you're either all good or shit's pretty bad right now. But I'm going to continue. Then we have Diego Velasquez. Okay, I remember him. Let me share with you my screen. There we go. We got Velasquez. The greatest Spanish painter of the Baroque age was Diego Velázquez, 1599 to 1660. Like many other Spanish artists, he produced religious pictures as well as genre scenes. But his renown in his day rested primarily on the works he painted for his major patron, King Philip IV. Trained in Seville, Velasquez was quite young when he came to the attention of the king, who, struck by the artist's immense talent, appointed him court painter. Cool. With the exception of 2 extended trips to Italy and a few excursions, Velasquez remained in Madrid for the rest of his life. His close relationship with Philip IV and his high office as Chamberlain of the palace gave him prestige and a rare opportunity to fulfill the promise of his genius. I wish. In early work, Water Carrier of Seville. Okay, let's see what that looks like. Water Carrier of Seville. Okay, it's not this one. That's what we just saw. This one. Okay, cool. Oh my god, his face looks quite funny. He's like, Got a young boy there. Got his jug. Alright. Water Carrier of Seville. Sorry. So, painted when Velasquez was only about 20. Wow. Already reveals his impressive command of his craft. Velasquez rendered the figures with clarity and dignity, and his careful depiction of the water jugs in the foreground, complete with the droplets of water, adds to the credibility of the genre scene, which seems to convey a deeper significance. As in Zurbaran's Saint Serapion, the one we just saw previously, the contrast of darks and lights and the plebeian nature of the figures reveal the influence of Caravaggio, whose work Velasquez had studied. Okay, interesting. Yeah, Caravaggio was admired by people, and that style ended up taking prominence, but that was quite different compared to what people were doing before, with the really noble, regal, grand kind of figures and colors. And then Caravaggio started just making things more realistic instead of idealized, very moody, the chiaroscuro and contrapposto and all that. Okay, that's about it for that. Diego Velázquez, a water carrier of Seville, circa 1619, oil on canvas. It's 3 feet 5.5 inches by 2 feet 7.5 inches, and it's at the Victoria and Albert Museum in London. Cool. In his early work, a genre scene that seems to convey a deeper significance, the contrast of darks and lights and the plebeian nature of the figures reveal Velázquez's indebtedness to Caravaggio. It looks like he's holding in a big fart. That's right. Says Jay. Fuck, he did that at 20. And someone says, Sunray Minor says, in them days, 20 years old is past middle age. That's true, it's true. The strong Hispanic nose. That's right. Thank you so much, Josh Randall, for the diamond. Thank you. Hey, Josh Randall. I hope the stream is looking okay. Let me guys know if you're doing all right. Okay, we're moving on to this one. This one's a famous one. Jay, I'm sure in your art history class you definitely studied up on this one. I think the self-portrait is it's you're in the viewer of the people that are taking the portrait, and this is the artist here with his easel as he's looking at you and trying to paint you, and there's a mirror, I think, right there of the couple that's being painted. And you know, she's got her like midgets and friends to entertain them, but I think that's what's going on. I forget, I haven't been in art history class in decades, so let's see. Let's get into it. Las Meninas. After an extended visit to Rome from 1648 to 1651, Velasquez returned to Spain and painted his greatest masterpiece, Las Meninas, the Maids of Honor. The painter represented himself in his studio standing before a large canvas. The young Infanta, Princess Margarita, appears in the foreground with her two maids-in-waiting, her favorite dwarfs, and a large dog. In the middle ground are a woman in a widow's attire and a male escort. In the background, a chamberlain stands in a brightly lit open doorway. Scholars have been able to identify everyone in the room, including the two Meninas and the dwarfs. Oh, this book is so not politically correct. Little people. The room was the artist's studio in the palace of the Alcazar in Madrid. After the death of Prince Balthazar Carlos in 1646, Philip IV ordered part of the prince's chambers converted into a studio for Velasquez. Okay, cool. Las Meninas is noteworthy for its visual and narrative complexity. Indeed, art historians have yet to agree on any particular reading or interpretation. A central issue has been what exactly is taking place in Las Meninas. What is Velasquez depicting on the huge canvas in front of him? He may be painting this very picture, an informal image of the Infanta and her entourage. Alternatively, Velasquez may be painting a portrait of King Philip IV and Queen Mariana, whose reflections appear in the mirror on the far wall. If so, that would suggest the presence of the king and queen in the viewer's space, outside the confines of the picture. Other scholars have proposed that the mirror image reflects not the physical appearance of the royal couple in Velasquez's studio, but the image that he is in the process of painting on the canvas before him. This question has never been definitively resolved. Oh, I see, because the way that... interesting. I don't know. It is quite fascinating to think about. More generally, Las Meninas is Velasquez's attempt to elevate both himself and his profession. As first painter to the king and as chamberlain of the palace, Velasquez was conscious not only of the importance of his court office, but also of the honor and dignity belonging to his profession as a painter. Throughout his career, Velasquez hoped to be ennobled by royal appointment to membership in the ancient illustrious Order of Santiago. Because he lacked a sufficiently noble background, he gained entrance only with difficulty at the very end of his life, and then only through the Pope's dispensation. In the painting, he wears the order's red cross on his doublet, painted there, legend says, by the king himself. In all likelihood, the artist painted it. In Velasquez's mind, Las Meninas might have embodied the idea of the great king visiting his studio, as Alexander the Great visited the studio of the painter Apelles in ancient Greece. The figures in the painting all appear to acknowledge the royal presence. Placed among them in equal dignity is Velasquez, face to face with his sovereign. The location of the completed painting reinforced this act of looking, of seeing, and being seen. Las Meninas hung in the personal office of Philip IV in another part of the palace. Thus, although occasional visitors admitted to the king's private quarters may have seen this painting, Philip IV was the primary audience. Each time he stood before the canvas, he again participated in the work as the probable subject of the painting within the painting and as the subject of the figure's gazes. In Las Meninas, Velázquez elevated the art of painting in the person of the painter to the highest status. The king's presence enhanced this statue, either in person as the viewer of Las Meninas or as a reflected image of the painting itself. I mean, I'd be kind of pissed if I was like just in a tiny reflection in the back and the artist is like, here's me. Sounds like someone we know. The painting that appears in Las Meninas further reinforced the celebration of the painter's craft. On the wall above the doorway and mirror, two faintly recognizable pictures have been identified as copies of paintings by Peter Paul Rubens, discussed next. The paintings depict the immortal gods and the source of art. Ultimately, Velázquez sought ennoblement not for himself alone, but for his art. Las Meninas is extraordinarily complex visually. Velázquez's optical report of the event, authentic in every detail, pictorially summarizes the various kinds of images in their different levels and degrees of reality. He portrayed the realities of image on canvas, of minor image, of optical image, and of the two painted images. This work, with its cunning contrast of mirrored spaces, real spaces, picture spaces, and pictures within pictures, itself appears to have been taken from a large mirror reflecting the whole scene. This would mean that the artist did not paint the princess and her suite as the main subjects of Las Meninas, but himself in the process of painting them. Las Meninas is a pictorial summary and a commentary on the essential mystery of the visual world, as well as on the ambiguity that results when different states or levels interact or are juxtaposed. Velázquez achieved these results in several ways. The extension of the composition's pictorial depth in both directions is noteworthy. The open doorway and its ascending staircase lead the eye beyond the artist's studio, and the mirror device and the outward glances of several of the figures incorporate the viewer's space into the picture as well. Compare how the mirror in Jan van Eyck's Giovanni, remember that one with his bride and it's got the rounded mirror? It's the famous one. She's wearing the green dress. But this similarly incorporates the area in front of the canvas into the picture, although less obvious and without comparable extension of space beyond the rear wall of the room. Velázquez also masterfully observed and represented form and shadow. Instead of putting lights abruptly beside darks, following Caravaggio, Velázquez allowed a great number of intermediate values of gray to come between the two extremes. His matching of tonal gradations approached effects that were only later discovered in the age of photography. Wow. Let me see that again. Okay. They had a lot to say about that one. Yeah, the one painting was Putin and the pregnant broad in the green dress. Yeah, that guy looked like Putin. That's right. I'm just reading what you guys are saying in the chat. Velasquez. I don't know. What am I saying? Yep, okay. He then sued to claim ownership of the Queen's likeness. Oh, yep. Optical report. Intentional blurry. Yeah, the painting. Oh, yeah. If I say amazing brush strokes regularly, does it make me sound learned? I don't know. Sure. This D-Live is pissing me off today. I just can't win, dude. I can't win. I don't know. You guys are saying you can hear and see me, so... I'm just going with it. But if you're watching on YouTube, then you're watching it okay. Sorry about all the complaining. I just premiere the stuff on D-Live, and it's giving me problems right now. And if you are watching on YouTube, then I think this is probably where more people are going to be watching it, because the D-Live is not working out so hot, but I'm recording this, and then I'll be playing it to YouTube. So I'm in the chat with you, engaging, hanging out with you, and it's basically like premiering this for the first time. So if you'd also like to, subscribe, like, comment, do all that stuff. But if you'd also like to help support me, it would really mean a lot if you could help me reach my goal, which is by the end of today. I don't think that's happening, but that's okay. If you want to help contribute to my goal and, help me out this week, you can always go to streamlabs.com/Martina Markota TV. There's also super chats or whatever, but, Streamlabs is better because YouTube takes a third, and, they suck with all that. Let's continue. Okay. So, I have a question for you guys. I'm thinking maybe I'll wait to do this for when this premieres on YouTube, but basically I have like tweets all set out, ready to be like, okay, now we're doing Flanders, we're going to do Peter Paul Rubens, all this stuff. But I feel like the D-Live is not working out. For some reason, Jay is watching it just fine. He's able to watch it. Yeah, I feel like Jay is in the Twilight Zone. He's the only one that's able to see it. And, I don't know. Should I tweet this stuff out, or should I just wait until it premieres on YouTube? Yeah. I have so much, like, everything prepared so nicely for today, and it's just, it fucks me up. Yeah, that's right. Patreon. I need to update my Patreon, but it definitely helps me out a lot. Is your Streamlab link in chat? Yeah, there you go. Thanks, Jay. There's the Streamlabs link. And Patreon should be in the description if you're watching on YouTube. But yeah, I want to do a little bit more on the Patreon stuff. Get that going a little bit. I think I'm going to work on that tonight. Thank you guys. So, I'm going to tweet this out. Fuck it. Let's tweet out what we're dealing with next. So, we are doing Flanders. We're moving on now to Flanders with Peter Paul Rubens and Anthony van Dyke. Let me just tell D-Live real quick. I mean, not D-Live. Gab. What we're up to. Peter Paul Rubens. Okay. Great. We're talking about our favorite midgets. That's right. All right, let's get back into it. Hopefully you guys are okay. Just give me a thumbs up in the chat if we're doing okay, if you can see and hear everything okay. If you are watching on YouTube, thank you so much. Welcome. We are talking about European art in 1600 to 1700. So I think it's like Baroque. They don't really like using that word, so apparently it's a negative connotation, but we associate it to the time period. But it means like a jagged pearl, an uneven pearl, and it means something negative, and they called it that. And I think that they thought after the Baroque period that everything was really gaudy and like a caricature of the classics, and it was just too much, and they named it something negative. But I feel like today we really appreciate the Baroque era and the Baroque art. It's weird how styles kind of wax and wane, or oscillate, if you want to talk math. Because it's the same thing with the Beaux Arts. That was like, I think like Victorian times, like right before the turn of the century, before Art Deco and all that. And it went from, and that was before the brutalist architecture, and it went from really ornate, the fine, Beaux Arts is French for fine art, and that we'll get into that chapter as well. But it's just interesting how things change, and they tend to go to extremes right after each other, because the Beaux Arts, the fine arts and the architecture is like Grand Central Station. It's like the really ornate, decorated kind of stuff. And then that became out of fashion, and they hated it. It actually in America represented like stuff that we didn't like about Europe and wanted to get away from, like the monarchy and all that class kind of stuff. So we really pushed and went the other way, and that's where we got like brutalism, and like the really simplistic design became really popular after all the really ornate decorative stuff. What is this? Oh, we got a super chat. Yay. Oh, Josh Randall. Thank you so much. Let me read this. I don't know why it doesn't read out loud anymore, but she used to read out loud. Josh Randall, thank you so much. Streamlabs. Thank you for inspiring me to focus on the richness and meaning of culture. The world looks very different to me lately. Oh, that is so amazing. Nice. For sure. I mean, even with architecture and things, you can look out and kind of look at it in a different way. I agree. I think even doing these streams myself has changed the way that I look at things sometimes. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate that a lot. Thank you. Got the cheese pizza gift. Love it. Man, I miss that Brooklyn pizza. Okay, let's get back into Flanders, shall we? So, in the 16th century, the Netherlands had come under the crown of the Habsburg Spain, when the Emperor Charles V retired, leaving the Spanish kingdoms, their Italian and American possessions, and the Netherlandish provinces to his only legitimate son, Philip II, roughly 1556 to 1598. Charles gave the imperial title and the German lands to his brother. Philip's repressive measures against the Protestants led to the northern provinces to break from Spain and to set up the Dutch Republic. The southern provinces remained under Spanish control, and they retained Catholicism as their official religion. The political distinction between modern Holland and Belgium more or less reflects this original separation, which in the 17th century signaled not only religious but also artistic differences. The Baroque of Flanders, the Spanish Netherlands, retained close connections to the Baroque art of Catholic Europe, whereas the Dutch schools of painting developed their own subjects and styles. Cool. And that's where we get Peter Paul Rubens. Hell yeah. All about that. So Peter Paul Rubens, the renowned Flemish master, drew together the main contributions of the Italian Renaissance and Baroque masters to formulate the first truly pan-European painting style. Rubens' art is an original and powerful synthesis of the manners of many painters, especially Michelangelo, Titian, Carracci, and Caravaggio. Rubens' style had wide appeal, and his influence was international. Among the most learned individuals of his time, Rubens possessed an aristocratic education and a courtier's manner, diplomacy, and tact, which, with his facility for language, made him the associate of princes and scholars. Ooh. He became court painter to the Dukes of Mantua, friend of King Philip IV of Spain, and his advisor on art collecting. Cool. Painter to Charles I, roughly 1625 to 1649, of England, and Marie de Medici, of France, 1573 to 1642, and permanent court painter to the Spanish governor of Flanders. Rubens also won the confidence of his royal patrons in matters of state, and they often entrusted him with diplomatic missions of the highest importance. In the practice of art, scores of associates and apprentices assisted Rubens, turning out numerous paintings for an international clientele. In addition, he functioned as an art dealer, buying and selling contemporary artworks and classical antiquities. His many enterprises made him a rich man with a magnificent townhouse and a castle in the countryside. Wow, Rubens was chillin'. Chillin'. Okay, let's just continue a little bit. So we have the elevation of the cross. Rubens became a master in 1598 and departed for Italy 2 years later, where he remained until 1608. During these years, he formulated the foundations of his style. Shortly after returning home, he painted Elevation of the Cross for the Church of St. Walberga in Antwerp. All right, let's check this out for... Yeah. Okay. There we go. Love it. Look at that. Look at that. Stunning. It's a fat baby. It's a triptych. Thanks, Josh Randall, for the diamond. Thank you. Okay. The triptych reveals his careful study of the works of Michelangelo and Caravaggio, as well as ancient statuary. In his Latin treatise, De Amatione Saturum, on the imitation of statues, Rubens stated, "I am convinced that in order to achieve the highest perfection, one needs a full understanding of the ancient statues, indeed a complete absorption in them, but one must make judicious use of them and before all avoid the effect of stone. The scene brings together tremendous straining forces and counterforces as heavily muscled men labor to lift the cross." Here, as in his Lion Hunt, Rubens used the subject as an opportunity to show foreshortened anatomy and the contortions of violent action reminiscent of the twisted figures of Michelangelo. Rubens placed the body of Christ on the cross as a diagonal that cuts dramatically across the picture while receding into it. The whole composition seethes with a power that comes from genuine exertion, from elastic human sinew, taut with effort. The tension is emotional as well as physical, as reflected not only in Christ's face, but also in the features of his followers. Strong modeling in dark and light, which heightens the drama, marks Rubens' work at this stage of his career. He later developed a much subtler coloristic style. Okay. Yeah, so this is... This is Peter Paul Rubens' Elevation of the Cross from St. Walberga, Antwerp, 1610. Oil on wood. It's 15 feet, 1 7/8 inches by 11 feet, 1.5 inch, the center panel. And each wing is 15 feet, 1 7/8 inch by 4 feet, 11 inches. And it's at the Antwerp Cathedral in Antwerp. In this triptych, Rubens explored foreshortening anatomy and violent action. The composition seethes with a power that comes from heroic exertion. The tension is emotional as well as physical. I mean, yeah. True that. Like, diagonal cross, foreshortening effect, tension. It seethes, guys. So when they say seething, it seethes with heroic exertion. Okay, we shall continue with Flanders. Peter Paul Rubens. Let's see what we got here. Now we have Marie de Medici. Rubens' interaction with royalty and aristocrats provided him with an understanding of the ostentation and spectacle of Baroque, particularly Italian, art that appealed to the wealthy and privileged. Oh, how privileged. I can't believe the word privileged turned into a bad thing. You know, I always thought that it would be an honor to be privileged. It's a privilege to meet you, but also when you were raised with privilege, it was a good thing. I mean, you had good education, you had decent parents that were able to provide, and it provided you with education, with opportunity, with things. Privilege is a great thing to have. I don't know why they talk bad about it. Anyway, so Rubens, the born courtier, reveled in the pomp and majesty of royalty. Reveled, sorry, my bad. Okay. The born courtier reveled in the pomp and majesty of royalty. Likewise, those in power embraced the lavish spectacle that served the Catholic Church so well in Italy. The magnificence and splendor of Baroque imagery reinforced the authority and right to rule of the highborn. Highborn. Among Rubens' royal patrons was Marie de Medici, a member of the famous Florentine house and widow of Henry IV, roughly 1589 to 1610, the first Bourbon king of France. She commissioned Rubens to paint a series memorializing and glorifying her career. Between 1622 and 1626, Rubens, working with amazing creative energy, produced 21 huge historical, allegorical pictures designed to hang in the Queen's new palace, the Luxembourg in Paris. In Arrival of Marie de Medici at Marcels. Okay, let's look at it. Sorry, I don't know how to pronounce things. I'm not that posh. I'm not that cultured. All right, now when they talk about Rubenesque figures, that's what they're motherfucking talking about. That is some Rubenesque figure going on right there. Okay. Interesting. Naked chicks blowing those horns. Naked dudes, too. She is like, yes, I'm here. I love it. He's got a cool cape. Got angels blowing trumpets and shit. It's really cool. Carriage, is that? Or is that the archway? I don't know. Interesting. Okay. So here we have In Arrival of Marie de Medici at Merced. Marie disembarks after her sea voyage from Italy, an allegorical personification of France draped in a cloak decorated with the royal fleur-de-lis. Welcomes her, the guy with the cool cape. The sea and sky rejoice at her safe arrival. Neptune and the Nereids, daughters of the sea god Nereus, salute her, and winged trumpeting fame swoops overhead. Conspicuous in the galley's opulent carved stern castle under the Medici coat of arms stands the imperious commander of the vessel, and the only immobile figure in the composition. In black and silver, this figure makes a sharp accent amid the swirling tonality of ivory, gold, and red. Rubens enriches the surfaces with a decorative splendor that pulls the whole composition together. The audacious vigor that customarily enlivens the artist's figures, beginning with the monumental twisting sea creatures, vibrates through the entire design. Who's the guy in black and white again? Who's he? He's the commander. Under the Medici coat of arms stands the imperious commander of the vessel, the only immobile figure in the composition. In black and silver, this figure makes a sharp accent amid the swirling tonality of ivory, gold, and red. Okay, I see him. So we got the sea creatures here. Oh, look at their legs. Oh, I see. Yeah, they're sea creatures. And there you got like the fleur-de-lis guy. Okay. The Medici coat of arms. Cool. Love it. Damn, Poseidon's got some dummy thick daughters. What he feeding them? Oh, they got fins and tentacles for legs. Pass. Yeah, I'm thinking I might end the stream early because it's really fucking up. So I'm going to do the Dutch Republic another time, but I might just finish off with Jan van Eyck, maybe. Yeah, we'll just finish off the last one. But this is Peter Paul Rubens' arrival of Marie de Medici at Mercels, 1622 to 1625. It's oil on canvas, 12 feet, 11.5 inches by 9 feet, 7 inches, and it's at the Louvre in Paris. Marie de Medici asked Rubens to paint 21 large canvases glorifying her career. In this historical allegorical picture of robust figures in an opulent setting, the sea and sky rejoice at the Queen's arrival in France. Pretty fucking epic. Pretty fucking epic. Okay, we're going to do this one last section, and I'm going to call it quits because D-Live is fucking up really bad. So, oh, Sunray Minor says, it's fine on my end. More amazing brushstrokes, please. 2 peanuts in the pleb gallery unable to restart their devices. Okay. Well, we have Anthony van Eyck. Okay, good on your end too, Jay. All right. We've got 9 viewers in here, so... Anyway, we have Anthony van Dyck. Most of Rubens' successors in Flanders were at one time his assistants. The most famous was Anthony van Dyck, 1599 to 1641. Early on, just the word Dyke reminded me, the Van Dyke name, it just reminded me of Dykeman in northern Bronx. I just think about all the the Dutch and names or whatever. I don't just all the different names and the British names and all these different European names in New York that we have, and I'm just kind of like Dykeman. That's where it's from. Anyway, early on, the younger man, unwilling to be overshadowed by the master's undisputed stature, left his native Antwerp for Genoa and then London, where he became court portraitist to Charles I. Although Van Dyck created dramatic compositions of high quality, his speciality became the portrait. I love portraits. He developed a courtly manner of great elegance that was influential internationally. In one of his finest works, Charles I Dismounted. Ooh, let's see. Charles I Dismounted. Okay, let's have a close-up look real quick. He's just chilling, giving you a smile with his beard and mustache and his hipster hat. He's got a cool cane, though. He's got his gloves off, too. He's just chilling. He's got spurs on. That horse is it's a good-looking horse. It's cool. I love the way it's very dramatic. People taking care of that horse. Why do they got creepy stashes, though? It's kind of weird. And the tree. Okay. Tree and clouds. Fluffy clouds. Love it. Josh Vandal said, oh, I thought you said you hated a girl named Marcia Dykeman. No, you dated a girl named Marcia Dykeman. Okay. Did you say Van Dyke? You mean Van Eyck? No, Dyke, man. You all around the country dressed like that. Walk around means you're tough as nails. I don't care what anybody says. Okay. He's just kind of like, yeah. Hey, you. So most of... I already read that. Sorry. Okay, so in one of his finest works, Charles the First Dismounted, the figure you're looking at now, the ill-fated Stuart king stands in a landscape with the Thames River in the background. Oh, that's in England, right? Thames River. An equerry and a page attend him. The portrait is a stylish image of relaxed authority. Hey, relaxed authority, as if the king is out for a casual ride in his park, but no one can mistake the regal poise and the air of absolute authority that his parliament resented and was soon to rise against. Here, King Charles turns his back on his attendants as he surveys his domain. The king's placement is exceedingly artful. He stands off-center, but balances the picture with a single keen glance at the river view. At the river view? What the fuck am I reading? I'm sorry, I need to blow this up a bit more. I can't see. I'm just making shit up here. Let me read that again. The king's placement is exceedingly artful. He stands off-center, but balances the picture with a single keen glance at the viewer. Van Dyke even managed to portray the monarch, a man of short stature, in a position to look down on the observer. Van Dyke's elegant style resounded in English portrait painting as well into the 19th century. Okay. Wow, yeah, so is this before the revolt? I think they revolt against Richard, no? There's some crazy revolt that happens in England where they didn't have monarchy for really short period of time, and they melted down their royal jewels and the crown and all that, and they used the metal and melted that shit down. And then at some point they were begging for them back. They're like, okay, things are not so good without you guys. We'll take you back. Please come back. And they reconstructed the royal jewels and all that stuff. So yeah, that's a crazy time period, I think. Yeah, that was the only one. Jay says there was a lot of crazy revolts in England, but yeah, this one was the one where it was they got rid of monarchy for a second and melted down their crowns and royal jewels. It was crazy. Yeah. Sunray Miner says, called it, I shall wear these red pantaloons all day. What you gonna do about it, homie? That's so funny. Yep. Is baked Alaska hipster hat. I mean, is it not one of those hipster hats that they all wear either in Brooklyn or California? It's okay, enough with your goddamn pilgrim hat. Ugh. I have never owned that hipster hat. So, I hope you guys are doing well. We've been streaming for, I don't know, about 2 hours. I have an hour and a half on this thing, but that's because I stopped recording. Oh, let me see what DFly says. Yeah, it says an hour and 28 minutes. That's weird. Yeah, it's those stupid fucking hats. Now I want that hipster hat. Yeah, that hat is cool in this context. Yeah. With the red pantalones as well, for sure. Well, I might just take a break if you don't mind. I don't know if you guys want to continue, but I think that the next chapter is quite long. So I was thinking maybe I'll just do a whole other stream for that. Let's see. Let me show you what we're working with here. Yeah, we got the Dutch Republic with Frans Hals. We have Judith Leyster. Then there is, of course, Rembrandt and his self-portrait. And then his gilded thing. And then we have Van Ruisdael. I don't know who that is. And then we got Vermeer. Of course, Vermeer. The Art of Painting, Vermeer. And then this. I don't know. Maybe I'll finish it off. Depends on what you guys want to do. You guys, you're enjoying yourself? You're chilling? I mean, Josh Randall has donated, so if he'd like me to continue, I will, because I do appreciate it. I haven't had many donations lately, so I was like willing to dip the fuck out, but the fact that, you know, there's been some donations today, I'll stay on. Pantalones? I don't know, man. I don't know. Alright, I'm gonna put a commercial on, go to the bathroom, make myself another drink, and maybe we'll finish this up. We'll see. Stick around, don't go anywhere. Be right back.
I can't type. I don't take dictation. I won't sharpen pencils. I can't file. My boss calls me indispensable.
Miss Jones.
Just a minute.
Will you make a copy of this?
Naturally. I pushed the button on the Xerox 914. I make perfect copies of whatever my boss needs by just turning a knob and pushing a button. Anything he can see, I can copy in black and white on ordinary paper. And am I fast? I can make 7 copies in a minute. By the way, I never need wet chemicals. My 914 is a dry machine, powder dry. Sometimes my boss asks me which is the original, and sometimes I don't know. Here, Mr. Smith, I'm going to lunch with Mother.
As the stylists surround our lives with functional forms of beauty, so they surround themselves in an atmosphere of aesthetic challenge. For the studio of design is an inspiration in itself, where men and women representing a variety of talents join their efforts and materialize their dreams. To give us a better understanding of the basic elements which go to make up the American look, let us look at an example of how styles and designs are created and developed. Working in an artistic atmosphere, men and women of taste and imagination come together to take on the task of creating a design which will express the American look. To every stylist, engineer, draftsman, and clay modeler, as well as the specialists on color, fabrics, and metals, the creation of a new design is a complex process and a tremendous challenge worthy of their most exhaustive effort. And because the newest designs must be kept confidential until just the right moment, the stylists work in rooms that are constantly locked. And here the dream begins, as the basic concepts of the design problem are defined and outlined. In the broadest terms, the objectives are stated and clarified, appraised and evaluated. And thus, a design theme, an imaginative but practical goal, is established and agreed upon. Now there is only the stylist's creativity, his courage to dream, his knowledge and his experience, to bring forth a beginning, a starting point, a place of departure. And from such dream work of individual stylists, there emerge finally a number of concepts, which, although varying greatly in specific treatment, still conform to the established limits of the overall design theme. Now the choice narrows down to one or two concepts, which combine the best styling features from all the other efforts. With the basic concept established, the design must now undergo an intensive period of improvement, refinement, changes, and revisions. Emerging at last as the culmination of ideas developed in many minds through many months. The stylists convert the smaller sketches into full-sized renderings and line drawings, which once again develop and refine the design theme. New dimensions now are added to line to translate the stylist's concept from drawings to full-bodied forms. To model the detailing for the finished design, a pliable material is needed. And the form is sculptured into a faithful bodily expression of the full-sized line drawing. Contours are established and held true to the exactions of templates, which accurately transfer the dimensions for conforming surfaces. At the same time, the individual art forms of decorations are sculptured in clay for a continuing development of the three-dimensional theme. The dreams are presented for approval. Only a short step behind the exterior concept is the design theme of the interior and its concepts of complement in color. harmonize with colors. And fabrics must be durable as well as artistically compatible with the overall interior theme. Design concept, exterior as well as interior, is now translated from clay to plaster, from plaster to fiberglass. Thus, the ideas, the concepts, and the dreams of the stylists come to life in the form of full-scale components modeled in fiberglass. To give us the blend of functional beauty, now comes the final transformation into metal, glass, fibers, and fabrics. Modern technology has supplied the American stylist with new materials of intriguing lightness and great strength. The distinguishing marks of the new American look are in art forms, in colors, and in the expressive changes of surface, which bring out the new textures and the interplay of materials. Designs in straight, delicate lines, designs in graceful curves, designs of strength without bulk, beauty of function as well as beauty of form. Indoors or outdoors, wherever we go or wherever we stay, now and in the future, we can all depend on the stylist to beautify everything we need. From the eye appeal and swift effectiveness of the smallest utensils in the kitchen of the future, to the serene grandeur of our glistening structures. The hand of the stylist is ever designing changes to improve our life of the future. American stylist. Yes, thanks to the men and women who design.
Looking great, cause Clearasil's ace. Face to face, face to face to face. See you at 8, skin's looking great. CJ's the place. Face to face.
Clearasil gives you great looking skin, even close up. Inside, it kills bacteria to dry the pimple.
Clearasil's ace. Face to face.
Outside, it soaks up all the excess oil.
Feeling first rate, cause skin's looking great, cause Clearasil's ace.
Clearasil, for skin that looks great, even close up.
Face to face.
Okay, we're back. I think so. Let me make sure that audio works. It's working. Yeah, those good old Clearasil commercials. I remember that. Good old times. So we are going to go back into it. We are now focused on Dutch Republic. So let's continue, shall we? I'm going to have a little sip of my drink. Let's see how close I can get it. Well, whilst you guys can still see. Okay, you can still see that. Let me see if I can make it a little bit bigger. Can you still see? Yes. Okay. Made myself another drink. Hold on to this. So we have the Dutch Republic. The Dutch succeeded in securing their independence from the Spanish in the late 16th century. Not until 1648, however, after years of continual border skirmishes with the Spanish, and did the northern Netherlands achieve official recognition as the United Provinces of the Netherlands, the Dutch Republic. Yeah, so, like I said, New York was Dutch. It was New Amsterdam. We still have a New Amsterdam upstate, but New York City used to be called New Amsterdam. Yeah, very Dutch. A lot of Dutch stuff going on. That's why you'll see Yang got pissed off about, like, why is New York State flag so similar to the Dutch flag? There's no Dutch here. I'm like, bro, it was a Dutch colony. Shut the fuck up. That's why all the buildings and everything, like all the villages and everything, is very Dutch looking. It looks like Amsterdam. Anyway, so we have the country owed its ascendance during the 17th century largely to its economic prosperity. With the founding of the Bank of Amsterdam in 1609, Amsterdam emerged as the financial center of the continent. The Dutch economy also benefited enormously from the country's expertise on the open seas, which facilitated establishing far-flung colonies. By 1650, Dutch trade routes extended to North and South America, the west coast of Africa, China, Japan, Southeast Asia, and much of the Pacific. Due to this prosperity and the absence of an absolute ruler, political power increasingly passed into the hands of an urban class of merchants and manufacturers, especially in cities such as Amsterdam, Haarlem. Again, Haarlem is named after the Dutch, and Delft. They, in turn, became the most important sources of art commissions. This shift in patronage and the Calvinist rejection of most religious art produced works emphasizing different pictorial content. Dutch Baroque art centered on genre scenes, landscapes, portraits, and still lifes, often of small scale, in sharp contrast with the Italian Baroque penchant for ostentatious ceiling frescoes depicting religious or mythological themes. I love it all. I love the ostentatious frescoes and ceiling paintings and the depictions of mythological themes and religious figures. And I love the still lifes. I mean, that's what we did in art class. I'm sure Jay's done plenty of still lifes. I posted my corn still life the other day on Twitter and Instagram, and I was surprised to find out that people don't know what corn looks like with the husk on it. And most people thought it was a squid. And I was surprised that I don't really know what a squid looked like. It's like, what the fuck are you guys talking about? It's corn with a husk, obviously. Hello. Anyway. So that brings us to Frans Hals? Frans Hals? I'm going to call him that, okay? The leading painter in Haarlem was Frans Hals, circa 1581 to 1666. 666. Who made portraits his specialty. I mean, I love portraits too. Portrait artists traditionally had relied heavily on convention, for example, specific poses, settings, and attire to convey a sense of the sitter. Sorry, I forgot to read this bit over here about Van Dyke. I always forget this little side pieces. Let me just read it real quick again before we get back into that. Anthony Van Dyke, Charles I Dismounted, circa 1635, oil on canvas. 8 feet 11 inches by 6 feet 11.5 inches, and it's at the Louvre in Paris. Van Dyck specialized in court portraiture. In this painting, he depicted the absolutist monarch Charles I at a sharp angle so that the king, a short man, appears to be looking down at the viewer. Okay, sorry. Let's get back to Frans, shall we? So, Frans, where are we? The leading painter in Haarlem was Frans, circa 1581 to 1666, who made portraits his specialty. Portrait artists traditionally had relied heavily on convention, for example, specific poses, settings, and attire to convey a sense of the sitter. Sorry, let me just double check. You guys can see. Sorry, just checking on you guys. Okay, just making sure everything's all okay. Let's get back to it. Because the subject was usually someone of status or note, such as a pope, king, duchess, or wealthy banker, the artist's goal was to produce an image appropriate to the subject's station in life. With the increasing number of Dutch middle-class patrons, the tasks for Dutch portraitists became more challenging. Not only were the traditional conventions inappropriate and thus unusable, but also the Calvinists shunned ostentation, instead wearing subdued and dark clothing with little variation or decoration. Despite these difficulties, or perhaps because of them, Hals produced lively portraits that seem far more relaxed than traditional formulaic portraiture. He injected an engaging spontaneity into his images and conveyed the individuality of his sitters as well. His manner of execution intensified the casualness, immediacy, and intimacy in his paintings. Because the touch of Hal's brush was as light and fleeting as the momentary pose he captured, so the figure, the highlights on clothing, and the facial expression all seem instantaneously created. Hals also excelled at a group portrait, which multiplied the challenges of depicting a single sitter. Archers of St. Hadrian depicts the members of one of the many Dutch civic militia groups that claimed credit for liberating the Dutch Republic from Spain. Wow, portraits of militia group. Let's see what they look like. Why did that become huge? What the fuck? Oh, hold on. There we go. Okay, that's not the militia group. That's the militia group. Okay. All right, we got these hipster hats back in style in New York after all those years. Okay. Those beards are back in style too. Mustaches. When are we going to get the Piccadilly back in? I'm into it. The militia group, not the Piccadills. Well, I mean, yeah, the Piccadills too. Oh, thank you, Sunray. That's really kind of you. I really appreciate that. Okay, so yeah, this depicts the members of one of, wait, let me just read this thing. Frans Hals, Archer of St. Hadrian, circa 1633. It's oil on canvas, 6 feet 9 inches by 11 feet. It's Frans Hals Museum in Haarlem, not in Brooklyn. Brooklyn, what am I talking about? Not in New York City, Haarlem, but in Amsterdam, Haarlem. In this brilliant composition, Hals solved the difficult problem of adequately representing each individual in a group portrait while retaining action and variety in the painting as a whole. That's true. I love this guy is just staring right there, like, boom. Yes, I'm here. This guy looks a bit faggy. He's like, this guy looks like someone, I can't put my finger on it, but he's got no facial hair. Yeah, that guy, he looks Asian. He's looking at that guy. That guy's dapper as fuck. He's like, sup. They're even looking at him. He's so dapper. And pointing at him. He's so dapper. He's not got another hipster hat. Hipster hats. Oh, this guy's just reading. Bless him. It's like, do you see this guy? Okay. So it depicts the members of one of the many Dutch civic militia groups that claimed credit for liberating the Dutch Republic from Spain. Like other companies, the archers met on their Saints' Feast day in dress uniform for a grand banquet. These events often involved a group portrait, giving Hals the opportunity to attack the problem of how to represent each group member adequately, yet retaining action and variety in the composition. Whereas earlier group portraits in the Netherlands were rather ordered and regimented images, Hals sought to enliven his depictions. In Archers of St. Hadrian, each man is both a troop member and an individual with a distinct physiognomy. Anyway, they distinctly look unique. The sitter's movements and moods also vary enormously. Some engage the viewer directly, others look away or at a companion. Whereas one is stern, another is animated, each man is equally visible and clearly recognizable. The uniformity of attire, black military dress, white ruffles, and sashes, did not deter Hals from injecting spontaneity into the work. Indeed, he used those elements to create a lively rhythm that extends throughout the composition and energizes the portrait. The impromptu effect, the preservation of every detail and fleeting facial expression is, of course, due to careful planning. Yet Hals's vivacious brush appears to have moved indistinctively, directed by a plan in his mind, but not traceable in any preparatory scheme on the canvas. So that just makes me think of a Sunray Minor. The Sunray Minor was talking about if you mention brushstrokes enough, do you sound learned? Maybe you should, instead of talking about the brushstrokes, you should say, the vivacious brush appears to have moved indistinctly. The vivacious brush appears to have moved indistinctly. Then you sound learned. All right, then we move on to Judith Leyster. Some of Hal's students developed thriving careers of their own as portraitists. One was Judith Leyster, 1609 to 1660, whose self-portrait here. Okay. That is some collar. Imagine having to paint in that. Look at that guy and her. They're both like... Yeah, this is Judith Leyster, self-portrait, circa 1630, oil on canvas. It's 2 feet 5 3/8 inches by 2 feet 1 5/8 inch. It's at the National Gallery of Art in Washington, D.C. Cool. Although presenting herself as an artist specializing in genre scenes, Leyster wears elegant attire instead of a painter's smock, placing her socially as a member of a well-to-do family. She's like, I'm painting myself looking fucking dapper as fuck, high society bitch in my self-portrait. Okay. So her self-portrait suggests the strong training she received. The picture is detailed, precise, and accurate, but also imbued with a spontaneity found in Hal's work. In this self-portrait, Leyster succeeded at communicating a great deal about herself. She depicted herself as an artist, seated in front of a painting resting on an easel. The palette in her left hand and brush in her right announce that the painting is her creation. She thus allows the viewer to evaluate her skill, which is both the... Let me just make sure I'm going. Both the fiddler on the canvas and the image of herself demonstrate as considerable. Although she produced a wide range of paintings, including still lifes and floral pieces, Leyster's speciality was genre scenes such as the comic image seen on the easel. Her quick smile and relaxed pose reflect her self-assurance as she stops her work to meet the viewer's gaze. Although presenting herself as an artist, Leyster did not depict herself wearing the traditional artist's smock. Her elegant attire distinguishes her socially as a member of a well-to-do family, another important aspect of her identity. Okay. Cool. Okay. How are you guys doing? You holding up? We are going to move on to the next subject, but I am actively tweeting things out, so give me a minute. But we're going to move on to Rembrandt, which is very exciting. Who does not love a good Rembrandt? So let me tweet this out real quick. Oh, God. This mouse disappears every so often. Sorry, just give me a minute to enjoy that Rembrandt. Oh my God, guys, you know what I forgot to do? I forgot to have the piano music in the background. Oh my God. It's always something I fuck up. Piano. I spelled piano wrong. I get dyslexic and I swap letters around. Piano. Calm piano. Okay. Forgot the piano music. Done. Hey, Black Phillip, thank you. Yeah, I had to do live. I haven't used it in like 9 months, but my harassers copyright striked one of my videos that was what is it called? Fair use. I was just reading an excerpt of something and they tried to copyright strike it. All right, let's get back into it. So here we have Rembrandt. The premier Dutch artist of the 17th century was Rembrandt van... How do I say that? R-I-J-N. Rin? Rin. In Croatian, the J is like a Y sound. Rin. Rembrandt, okay? 1606 to 1669, who moved from his native Leiden to Amsterdam around 1631 because the larger city promised to provide him with a more extensive clientele. It's like New York City. He quickly gained renown for his portraits, which delve deeply into the psyche of personality of his sitters. Like Hals, Rembrandt also produced memorable group portraits. The most famous is the Company of Captain Frans Banning Cock? Better known as Night Watch. Yeah, I knew it as Night Watch. I was like, what the fuck? Is this what it's called? I knew it had something to do with like a night, like nighttime. Yeah, Night Watch. Let's look at Night Watch. Oop, not that one. There you go, Night Watch. So you have that contrasting light, the contrapposto, the chiaroscuro, and looks like some angel chick in the back. I don't know. Yeah, but these guys and their Dutch outfits, cool. Let's read some more, shall we? So yeah, it's better known as Night Watch. Sorry, just checking on my mic that it's on. This more commonly used title is a misnomer, however. The nocturnal look of the scene is due more to the varnish the artist used, which darkened considerably over time, than to the subject depicted. From the limited information available about the commission, it appears that Captain Frans Banning Cock and his lieutenant, Willem van Rudenberch, along with 16 members of their militia, each contributed to Rembrandt's fee. Oh. Night Watch was one of 6 paintings by different artists that various civic groups commissioned around 1640 for the Assembly and Banquet Hall of Amsterdam's new Musketeers Hall. Unfortunately, in 1715, when city officials moved Rembrandt's painting to the town hall, they cropped it in all sides. What? They cropped it on all sides? But even in its truncated form, Night Watch succeeds in capturing the excitement and frenetic activity of the men preparing for the parade. A comparison with Hals' Archers of St. Hadrian, the one we saw previously, reveals Rembrandt's inventiveness in limiting what was by then becoming a controversial portrait format. Rather than present assembled men posing in an orderly fashion, the younger artist chose to portray the company scurrying about in the act of organizing themselves, thereby animating the image considerably. At the same time, Rembrandt managed to record the 3 most important stages of using a musket: loading, firing, and readying the weapon for reloading. Details that must have pleased his patrons. Let me see that again. Okay. Rembrandt's use of light is among the hallmarks of his style. Hence, Rembrandt was a toothpaste, because it was like the brightness of it shows that, he had the light and dark, that very Caravaggio kind of style. His pictorial method involved refining light and shade into finer and finer nuances until they blended with one another. Earlier painters' use of abrupt lights and darks gave way to gradation in works of artists such as Rembrandt and Velasquez. Although these later artists may have sacrificed some of the dramatic effects of sharp chiaroscuro, a greater fidelity to true appearance offset those sacrifices. This teacher is closer to reality because the eyes perceive light and dark not as static, but as always subtly changing. In general, Renaissance artists represented forms and faces in a flat, neutral, modeling light. Even Leonardo's shading is of a standard kind. They represented the idea of light rather than the real look of it. Artists such as Rembrandt discovered degrees of light and dark, degrees of differences in pose, in the movements of facial features, and in psychic states. They arrived at these differences optically, not conceptually or in terms of some ideal. Rembrandt found that by manipulating the direction, intensity, distance, and surface texture of light and shadow, he could render the most subtle nuances of character and mood, both in person and in the entire scenes. He discovered for the modern world that variation of light and shade, subtly modulated, could be read as emotional differences. In the visible world, light, dark, and the wide spectrum of values between the two are charged with meaning and feelings that sometimes are independent of the shapes and figures they modify. The theater and the photographic arts have used these discoveries to great dramatic effect. Yeah. Light is probably the most important thing, I think. I'm known in real life to be saying all the time, it's about the lighting, it's about the lighting. Because the way that you appear is all about the lighting. You can look absolutely shit, or you can look have the exact same makeup and appearance, and with a different lighting, you look good, have that like kind of moody lighting and everything just kind of a little bit different. It can look really, really good. It's all about the lighting. And as a stage performer, so theater, I was all about lighting. I was really close with the lighting director the most in my theaters. And I'm really happy to actually get a message recently from my old lighting director, who happens to be one of us. And I was like, oh my God, you don't hate me. He's like, no, it's terrible what happened to you. I'm on your side. I was like, yay. Because I need a lighting guy. Lighting is so important. So yeah, I feel you, Rembrandt. I feel you. Oh shit, sorry, I forgot about the chest. Well, I don't want people to just get the chest for no reason. You guys are buffering? You're alright? You're alright? I'm gonna continue a little bit more. So we have this self-portrait next. Right here. And this is a self-portrait of Rembrandt, circa 1659 to 1660. It's oil on canvas, 3 feet, 8 3/4 inches by 3 feet, 1 inch. It's at Kenwood House, London. In this self-portrait, Rembrandt's interest in Revealing the human soul is evident in the attention given to his expressive face. The controlled use of light and the non-specific setting contribute to this focus. I see it. See how that lighting creates the shadows under his jowls and his eyes? Yeah, lovely. Love it. I do self-portraits myself. In his portraits, Rembrandt employed what could be called the psychology of light. Light and dark are not in conflict. They are reconciled, merging softly and subtly to produce the visual equivalent of quietness. Their prevailing mood is that of tranquil meditation, of philosophical resignation, of musing recollection. Indeed, a whole cluster of emotional tones heard only in silence. In a self-portrait produced in late in Rembrandt's life, the light that shines from the upper left of the painting bathes the artist's face in soft highlights, leaving the lower part of his body in shadow. Rembrandt depicted himself here as possessing dignity and strength, and the portrait serves as a summary of the many stylistic and professional concerns that occupied him throughout his career. Rembrandt's distinctive use of light is evident, as is the assertive brushwork that suggests a quiet confidence and self-assurance. There you go, buddy, in the chat. What's your name again? Sunray Minor. There you go with the brushstrokes. You missed a lively chat above. I see. Okay. Rembrandt should get props just for the name alone and the vivacious brushstrokes. Oh, that's interesting too, because brushing teeth, Rembrandt brushes. Get it? No, but it's about the light. Oop. Shit, what'd I do? That's right, Black Phillip. I did get kicked out of my bank. Yep. Ugh, it sucks that you guys are buffering. I will be on YouTube as well, so if you guys are struggling to watch, I'm sorry. Tomorrow I will be premiering this on YouTube, so please check that out. And yeah, don't forget to contribute. I still have my goal that I would like to get through. All right, we got 42%. Not bad. But you can always help me out by going to streamlabs.com/Martina Markota TV. Thank you guys. Okay, so where are we? Rembrandt's distinctive use of light. Brushstrokes suggest a quiet confidence and self-assurance. He presented himself as a working artist holding his brushes, palette, and mouthstick, and wearing his studio garb, a smock and painter's turban. The circles on the wall behind him may allude to a legendary sign of artistic virtuosity, the ability to draw a perfect circle freehand. Ultimately, Rembrandt's abiding interest in revealing the human soul emerged here in his careful focus of the viewer's attention on his expressive visage. His controlled use of light and the non-specific setting contribute to this focus. Further, X-rays of the painting have revealed that Rembrandt originally depicted himself in the act of painting. His final resolution, with the viewer's attention drawn to his face, produced a portrait not just of the artist, but of the man as well. Interesting. So he was like painting originally, and then he was like, nah, I'm painting over that shit. I'm looking right at the viewer. Okay. He looks like someone I know. Yeah, and then we have more Rembrandt, but it's one of his prints. But we have a little bit of reading to do, so let's look at this real quick. All right, should I do the chess thing? I'm going to do the chess thing. As long as no assholes get any coins. All right, I'm doing it. Distribute rewards. You guys have been really good to me today. 28, 27, 26, 25, 24, 23, 22, 21, 20. They are distributing. The rewards are distributing. I got 15 seconds. 10 seconds. 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. Yay. We have Sunray Minor with 58.9 Lino coins. And Black Phillip, hey, welcome to the group. You got 34.2. Yay. Sorry, Josh Randall. I was hoping you'd get some. My bad. Can't help it. Ooh, ice cream. Thank you, Josh Randall. Donated an ice cream. Same with Black Phillip. Thank you for the ice cream. All right. Sunray Miner's happy. Okay. Awesome. I'm going to get back into it. So we have 100 Gilder Print. Many artists rapidly took up etching early in the 17th century because etching permitted greater freedom in drawing the design. For etching, the printmaker covers a copper plate with a layer of wax or varnish. The artist incises the design into the surface with a pointed tool, exposing the metal below, not cutting into its surface. The printer then immerses the plate in acid, which etches or eats away the exposed part of the metal, acting the same as the brun in engraving. The medium's softness gives etchers greater carving freedom than woodcutters and engravers have worked directly in their more resistant media of wood and metal. If Rembrandt had never painted, he still would be renowned as he principally was in his lifetime for his prints. Prints were a major source of income for him. Christ with the sick around him receiving the children is one of Rembrandt's most celebrated etchings. Let's check that out. I love his halo. I'm all about halos, as you guys would know. And these are the sickly around him. Lovely. Lovely. Really is lovely. So this is Rembrandt, Christ with the sick around him, receiving the children. 100 Gilder Print, circa 1649. It's an etching. 11 inches by 1 foot and 3 by 1 foot 3¼ inch. It's at the Pierpont Morgan Library in New York. Oh, speaking of J.P. Morgan Chase, that's who Pierpont Morgan is. J.P. Morgan. It's the Pierpont Morgan. Speaking of Chase, that's funny. Rembrandt's mastery of the new printmaking medium of etching is evident in his expert use of light and dark to draw attention to Christ as he preaches compassionately to the blind and lame. The lame. So, it is one of Rembrandt's most celebrated etchings. Indeed, the title by which the print has been known since the early 18th century, 100 Gilder Print, refers to the high price it brought during Rembrandt's lifetime. The artist suffused this print with a deep and abiding piety, presenting the viewer not the celestial triumph of the Catholic Church, but the humanity of and humility of Jesus. Christ appears in the center, preaching compassionately to and simultaneously blessing the blind, the lame, and the young, whom Rembrandt spread throughout the composition in a dazzling array of standing, kneeling, and lying positions. Also present is a young man in elegant garments with his head in his hands, lamenting Christ's insistence that the wealthy must give their possessions to the poor in order to gain entrance to heaven. The tonal range of the print is remarkable. At the right, the figures near the city gate are in deep shadow. At the left, figures, some rendered almost exclusively in outline, are in bright light. I noticed that too. Not the light of day, but the illumination radiating from Christ himself. A second unseen source of light comes from the right and casts the shadow of the praying man's arm and head onto Christ's tunic. Technically, and in terms of its humanity, the 100 Gilder Print is Rembrandt's supreme achievement as a printmaker. Very nice. Ooh, what was that? Oh, I got a pledge on Patreon, and look at the cool gift that produced. Cool. Always on net. Cool. Thank you for that. Thank you so much. Josh Randall, you're so kind to me. I really appreciate you. Really appreciate you. Yeah, don't forget, I do have a Patreon. Alright, so I'm moving on to the next section, and I'm going to make a tweet about it. So we are doing Jacob Van, I don't know how to say the name, Ruisdael, and Vermeer, and Rachel Ruysch. Oh, and Pieter Claesz? Oh, God. Pieter. I don't know how to say these names, but Vermeer, I know. So let me make this tweet real quick. Okay, we're here. Okay, Jacob. One second, guys. Sorry. We got Jacob Van, Vermeer, and Claesz. All right, finishing up this chapter. How do you gift a sub? I don't know what you mean by that, Josh Randall. Sunray Meyer says, if you would be kind enough to wear French ferret, that'd be great. Beret, not ferret. A ferret would be quite off-putting in itself. Wear Martina, for the love of all holy pastels and exquisite brushstrokes, wear a red French beret. Okay, I'll try to get one. Alright, let's get back into it. Just a reminder, if you guys are not already subbed, please subscribe to my channel. Please like, please leave a comment. If you're on YouTube, do all of that. I have a lot of stuff in the description. I have this lawsuit that I'm battling, someone trying to abuse me and take advantage of me and try to steal my IP and identity. So you could always help me out there. You could always become a patron like Josh Randall has become. You could always support with Streamlabs anytime. Doesn't matter if I'm live or not. You can go to streamlabs.com/Martina Markota TV and it contributes to my goal. You can always do PayPal, which is in the description. It's my email. There's a Bitcoin wallet down there. If that's your kind of thing. If that's your bag, baby. Go for it. And I really appreciate it a lot. You know, I do this for you guys. I do it for you guys. So let's get back into it, shall we? Okay. So we have Jacob van Ruisdael. I'm saying it like that. In addition to portraiture, the Dutch avidly collected landscapes, interior scenes. Sorry, I was just double checking. Can you guys hear me? In addition to portraiture, the Dutch avidly collected landscapes, interior scenes, and still lifes. Each of these painting genres dealt directly with the daily lives of the urban mercantile public, accounting for their appeal. Landscape scenes abound in 17th century Dutch art. Due to topography and politics, the Dutch had a unique relationship with the terrain, one that differed from those of other European countries. After gaining independence from Spain, the Dutch undertook an extensive land reclamation project that lasted almost a century. Dikes and drainage systems cropped up across the countryside. Because of the effort expanded on these endeavors, the Dutch developed a very direct relationship to the land. Most Dutch families owned and worked their own farms. Jacob van Ruisdael, 1628 to 1682, became famous for his precise and sensitive depictions of the Dutch landscape. The view of Haarlem from the dunes at Overveen, Van Ruisdael provided an overarching view of this major Dutch city. Okay, let's look at Haarlem in the Dutch Haarlem, not the New York Haarlem. Let's check that out. Cool. Love it. Too flat for my taste. New York is more mountainous, but I love the fluffy clouds and the blue skies, different from England. And yeah, the farmlands. Very nice, very nice. Got chapels and shit. Very lovely. And I feel like you can see this is what really happens. And people like in England don't realize this. Oh, there's a flock of birds. Cool. But these little bright patches right here, that's between the clouds. You can actually see the sun hitting the land. And I love seeing that in the Hudson Valley and the mountains, where the sun actually hits the land and the mountains at a certain spot, and then there's shading on the other spots from the clouds. It's just so magical. It's really, really cool. I love that. It's a big painting. See, this is the 1-inch mark right here. Whoa, how do you do a 1-month subscription, guys? What does that mean? Alright, I'm gonna just get back into it. So, yeah. So he became... Yeah, most Dutch families owned and worked their own farms. Jacob van Ruisdael, circa 1628 to 1682, became famous for his precise and sensitive depictions of the Dutch landscape. In view of Haarlem from the dunes at Overveen, van Ruisdael provided an overarching view of this major Dutch city. The specifics of the artist's image, the St. Bravo Church in the background, the numerous windmills that recall the land reclamation efforts, and the figures in the foreground stretching linen to be bleached, a major industry of Haarlem, reflect the pride Dutch painters took in recording their homeland and the activities of their fellow citizens. Nonetheless, in this painting, the inhabitants and dwellings are so minuscule that they blend into the land itself. Further, the horizon line is low, so the sky fills almost 3/4 of the picture space, and the sun illuminates the landscape only in patches where it has broken through the clouds above. In view of Haarlem, van Ruisdael not only captured the appearance of a specific locale, but also succeeded in imbuing the work with a quiet serenity that approaches the spiritual. I love having a low horizon line and showing a lot of that lovely, lovely sky. Yeah, so this is Jacob van Ruisdael, view of Haarlem from the dunes at Overveen, circa 1670. It is oil on canvas, 1 foot 10 inches. Oh, that's 1 inch. Okay, see, I'm used to seeing that little thing when I said this is pretty big. I'm used to that as being feet. But then they switched it up on us and made it 1 inch. Okay, so it's 1 foot 10 inches, not bad, by 2 feet 1 inch, and it's at some fucking museum, and it's called the Hag? I don't know. In this painting, van Ruisdael succeeded in capturing a specific view of Haarlem, its windmills, and St. Bavo Church, but he also imbued the landscape with a quiet serenity that approaches the spiritual. Okay. Let's get into Jan Vermeer. Is it Jan or is it Jan? I didn't know that was a male name. Then we got Jan van Eyck. I'm just going to call him Vermeer, okay? So the sense of peace, familiarity, and comfort that Dutch landscape paintings exude also emerges in interior scenes, another popular subject among middle-class patrons. These paintings offer a glimpse into the lives of prosperous, responsible, and cultured citizens. The foremost Dutch painter of interior scenes was Vermeer, 1632 to 1675, of Delft. Vermeer earned most of his income as an innkeeper and art dealer, and he produced no more than 35 paintings definitively attributed to him. Earlier Flemish artists such as Robert Campen had painted domestic interiors, but sacred personages often occupied those scenes. In contrast, Vermeer and his contemporaries composed neat, quiet, opulent interiors of Dutch middle-class dwellings with men, women, and children engaging in household tasks or some small recreation. Women are the primary occupants of Vermeer's homes, and his paintings are highly idealized depictions of the social values of Dutch burghers. B-U-R. Let me look that up. Oh God, this mouse gets fucked up. Ferocious Chihuahua said, Martina, is there a crisscross of art between Spain and Netherlands since Spain owned half of Flanders for decades? Yeah. See, I didn't know that. That's interesting. I didn't know that, but yeah, we did Spain earlier on, and they did a little bit of history lesson. And yeah, and then now we're on to when they became independent and how amazing the Dutch Republic kind of started doing their art. So this is after they gained their independence. But yeah, we mentioned that a little bit before.
Burger.
It is burger.
Burger. Burger.
A citizen of a town or city, typically a member of the wealthy I hate saying the word bourgeois. You know, being bougie. It's like the long formal word of bougie. It's a burger. So usually the bourgeoisie, yeah, bourgeoisie. It's a citizen of a town or city, typically a member of the bourgeoisie.
Burger.
Huh, a burger. Interesting. So, Ferocious Chihuahua said, I love the conquistadors. They are based. Oh my God, ridiculous. Yeah, you're a bit late, but I'm going to be rerunning this on YouTube tomorrow, so you can always check that out, and I'll be in the chat. We'll be hanging out. All right, let's get back to it. So Vermeer was a master of pictorial light and used it with immense virtuosity. He could render space so convincingly through his depiction of light that in his works, the picture's surface functions as an invisible glass pane through which the viewer looks into the constructed illusion. Historians are confident that Vermeer used as tools both mirrors and the camera obscura, literally darkroom, an ancestor of the modern camera based on passing light through a tiny pinhole or lens to project an image on a screen or wall of a room. Yeah, that's interesting because I've worked with a photographer who makes beautiful, beautiful photos that look like paintings, and he used to have a handheld mirror, one of those vintage kind of mirrors, and he would shoot the camera through the mirror pointing at me, and he would shoot that way, and it created like a certain kind of effect. It was really cool. Burger. In later versions, artists projected the image on a ground glass wall of box whose opposite wall contained the pinhole or lens. This does not mean that Vermeer merely copied the image. Instead, these aids helped him obtain results he reworked compositionally, placing his figures and the figure of a room in a beautiful stability of quadrilateral shapes. His designs have a matchless classical serenity. Enhancing this quality are colors so true to the optical facts and so subtly modulated that they suggest Vermeer was far ahead of his time in color science. Close examination of his paintings shows that Vermeer realized shadows are not colorless and dark, that adjoining colors affect each other, and that light is composed of colors. It's true. I mean, Leonardo knew this. And thus he painted reflections off of surfaces in colors modified by others nearby. Some experts have suggested Vermeer also perceived the phenomenon modern photographers call circles of confusion, which appear out of focus negatives, which appear on out-of-focus negatives. Vermeer could have seen them in images projected by the camera obscura's primitive lenses. He approximated these effects with light dabs that, in close view, give the impression of an image slightly out of focus when the observer draws back a step. However, as if adjusting the lens, the color spots cohere, giving an astonishingly accurate illusion of a third dimension. Huh. So we have the art of painting. Vermeer's stylistic precision and commitment to his profession are evident in Allegory of the Art of Painting. This figure we have here, let me share it with you. I mean, it looks like a photograph. It's really amazing. It looks like one of my photographs. So this is Vermeer, Allegory of the Art of Painting, 1670 to 1675. It is oil on canvas, 4 feet 4 inches by 3 feet 8 inches, and it's at the Kunsthistorisches Museum in Vienna. Vermeer used both mirrors and the camera obscura to depict opulent 17th century Dutch domestic interiors so convincingly. He was also far ahead of his time in understanding the science of color. So the artist himself appears in the painting, sitting with his back to the viewer and dressed in historical clothing, reminiscent of Burgundian attire. He is hard at work on painting of the model standing before him wearing a laurel wreath and holding a trumpet and book, traditional attributes of Clio, the muse of history. The map, I mean, this just reminds me of like working with a photographer and being a model and all this stuff. Just the goofy ass shit, and people kind of like don't understand the dynamic between a like model and artist or whatever, and it's just like they see it in a really fucked up, perverse kind of way. But for me, this is what it was. This was me in Brooklyn, like holding a fucking trumpet and book, being like, and the photographer just being a goofy ass dude himself, wearing like, is a friend of mine wearing like his goofy ass outfit, and we're just like collabing and making art. It's just fun. I miss it. Anyway, so we have the map of the provinces and increasingly common wall adornment in Dutch homes on the back wall serves as yet another reference to history. As in other Vermeer paintings, the viewer is outside the space of the action, looking through the drawn curtain that separates the artist in his studio from the rest of the house and from the viewer. Some art historians have suggested that the light radiating from an unseen window on the left that illuminates both the model and the canvas being painted alludes to the light of artistic inspiration. Accordingly, many scholars have interpreted this painting as an allegory, a reference to painting inspired by history. Vermeer's mother-in-law confirmed this allegorical reading in 1677 when she sought to retain the painting after the artist's death, when 26 of his works were scheduled to be sold to pay his widow's debt. She listed the painting in her written claim as the piece wherein the art of painting is portrayed. Yeah, that tapestry is lovely, Sunray. If you continue to say bourgeoisie, you'll have Bernie Sanders here protesting. Oh, wow, interesting, Black Phillip. He says the Habsburgs ruled from Spain to the Netherlands to far east as Croatia in one way or another. Wow. Burger, says Jay. Thank you for the ice cream, Josh Randall. So kind of you. Sunray Miner says, "Do you know that Jill Biden is an artist?" Yep, a bullshit artist. Well, I saw her stupid fucking Valentine's Day things. They were so stupid and bad. Anyway, I have to go to the bathroom real quick. Sorry about it, but I'm going to play this piano music. Just give me a minute. Okay, back. Are you guys fighting with each other? What's going on in here? Jay says, I just looked up what Jill did. And, oh, God. That's so corny. I know. It's so bad. It's so bad. Okay. No, you guys are so kind. We're quoting the Bidens. Oh, okay. You guys are so kind. Thank you. I love it in here. I love you guys. We're just like, it's amazing. It's amazing. I'm really appreciative of you guys. I mean, just even kicking out the retards that try to come in here and cause problems. I really appreciate it. Just like calling them out like, dude, not in here, buddy. So now we have Pieter. I don't know how to say his name. Let's figure out how to say this. PronounceNames.com. What does the subscription do? What does that mean?
Pieter Claesz.
Pieter Claesz.
Pieter Claesz.
It's not Pieter? Pieter Claesz. Okay, Pieter Claesz. That's what is it. That's what he is. Pieter Claesz. Pieter Claesz. So we got Pieter Claesz. The prosperous Dutch were justifiably proud of their accomplishments and the popularity of still life paintings, particularly images of accumulated material goods, reflected this pride. These still lifes, like Vermeer's interior scenes, are beautifully crafted images that are both scientific in their optical accuracy and poetic in their beauty and lyricism. Paintings such as Vanitas Still Life by Pieter Claesz celebrate material possessions, here presented as if strewn across a tabletop or dresser. Cool. Let's see. Love it. I love these still lifes. This is like reminds me of high school art class. Love it. All right. So celebrate material possessions here presented as if strewn across a tabletop or dresser. The ever-present morality and humility central to the Calvinist faith tempered Dutch pride in worldly goods, however. Thus, while Claesz fostered the appreciation and enjoyment of the beauty and the value of the objects depicted, he also reminded the viewer of life's transience by incorporating references to death. The skull. Let me turn this music down a bit. Hold on. Got like really intense, and I was like, okay, calm down. Burgundian. Okay, so yeah, I think the skull is references to death. Paintings with these features are called vinatas, vanity paintings. Each feature is referred to as a memento mori. In Vanitas still life, references to mortality include the skull, timepiece, tipped glass, and cracked walnut. All suggest the passage of time or presence that has disappeared. Something or someone was here and now is gone. Claesz emphasized this element of time and demonstrated his technical virtuosity by including a self-portrait reflected in the glass ball on the left side of the table. He appears to be painting this still life, but in an apparent challenge to the message of an inevitable mortality that Vanitas paintings convey, the portrait serves to immortalize the subject, in this case, the artist himself. Look at him in there. Look at him in his Dutch-ass house. That Dutch-ass room. With his Dutch hipster hat that everyone in Brooklyn now wears. And California. Got that timepiece. Got that feather. The violin. The skull, the cracked walnut, and the tipped glass. Looks like a book and some letters back there, too. Lovely. So even these still lifes have, like, some sort of meaning, like a deeper meaning than just like, and now I draw corn. But to be fair, my corn still life, I noticed since all the, not octopus, squid comments was like, people don't know what a corn with a corn husk looks like. Like, that is native to, like, New York. The maize, the Indian maize from New York when we came as settlers here. I was like, wow, it's a very New York thing, I suppose. I mean, I grew up with it in my backyard, just cornfields, corn husks. Put the whole husk on a grill. Strip it away. I mean, and then in the fall, autumn, and Halloween time, we have them as decorations. The hardened husks and the colors, and it's really pretty. And now I draw corn. Okay, we're going back to this. So then we have Rachel. I don't know how to say this name either. I'm going to look this up real quick if you don't mind.
Ruysch.
Ruysch. Ruysch. Going for it. Ruysch. Okay, so Rachel Ruysch. Oh, did we read about this? Yeah, I think so. Let me just read this real quick, the class thing. It is a still life, 1630s, oil on panel. Oil on panel, 1 foot 2 inches by 1 foot 11.5 inches. And it's at a national museum in Nuremberg, in Germany somewhere. So Vanitas still lifes reflect the pride Dutch citizens had in their material possessions, but Calvinist morality and humility tempered that pride. The skull and timepiece remind the viewer of life's transience. Okay, so Rachel Ruysch as living objects that soon die. Flowers, particularly cut blossoms, appear frequently in Vanitas. I have some flowers to draw. Paintings, however, floral paintings as a distinct genre also flourished in Dutch Republic. Among the leading practitioners of this art was Rachel Ruysch, 1663 to 1750. Ruysch's father was a professional of botany and anatomy, which may account for her interest in and knowledge of plants and insects. She acquired an international reputation for lush paintings such as Flower Still Life, this one here, which is quite lovely with the composition and the flow of it. Is there a bumblebee in there? What's going on in there? I think there's a bumblebee on that flower. It's quite lovely. Floral piece. I love it. In this image, the lavish floral arrangement is so full that many of the blossoms seem to be spilling out of the vase. Ruysch carefully constructed her paintings. Here, for example, she positioned the flowers to create a diagonal that runs from the lower left of the painting to the upper right corner, and that offsets the opposing diagonal of the table edge. Yeah. So this is Rachel Ruysch, Flower Still Life. After 1700, it is oil on canvas, 2 feet 5 3/4 inches by 1 foot 11 7/8 inches, and it's at the Toledo Museum of Art, Toledo. Purchased with funds from the Libby Endowment, gift of Edward Drummond Libby. Okay. Flower paintings were very popular in the Dutch Republic. Ruysch achieved international renown for her lush paintings of floral arrangements, noted also for their careful composition. Okay, guys. Okay. We finished it. So let's see where we are at. We are going to continue on next time with France. Oh, yay. Some portraits and architecture in France, England. France and England, and that's it. Oh no. I should have saved a little bit of this, because this was a 3-hour-long stream, and France and England, and that's it. Alright. Well, it is what it is, as long as you guys enjoyed it. And I think there was people in here that were enjoying themselves, and they wanted to stick around a little bit more. Thank you, Josh Randall, so much. Sunray Minor, thank you for just, interacting and hanging out and being a new friend in here. So we really appreciate you guys. If you could all just give a thumbs up, subscribe, and maybe next time share it. If you have a Twitter or some sort of social media, it would mean a lot if you guys shared the stream and kind of got it out there, because I don't really have that much viewership, and I've been doing this for a while. And I think it's a really fun group. Most of the people in the chat are artistic, they're educated. We always have really interesting chats going on. And if you're on D Live, join us on YouTube. There's a whole bunch of other people that are similar to this chat on YouTube. And yeah, that's kind of what's happening. I got a copyright strike from a harasser of mine, stalker of mine, so it kind of fucked up my ability to live stream. So I go on D Live and I'm recording, and then I premiere it on YouTube. That's kind of what I'm doing for the next few months. So just bear with me. If you want to join the live stream, then go on D Live. You guys can always, no matter what, donate to streamlabs.com/Martina Markota TV. But if you are more of a YouTube person, check out the reruns, and I'm in the chat with you guys. We're hanging out. Okay? So, yeah. I love you guys. Steven, you're still hanging out. It's late night for you, huh? You guys are really awesome to chat, seriously. Like, I'm really not in a good place a lot of times in my life with a lot of drama that happens in my life. But honestly, like, the people that we do have in the chats are pretty dope. Everyone's pretty solid in here. Steven, I'm kind of drunkish too. I love it. All right, I'm getting out of here. I'll see you guys tomorrow in the chat for the rerun, and I'm going to edit this because I had issues in the beginning with D Live, so I had to stop recording and re-record, and now I'm going to edit this for YouTube. See you guys tomorrow.